When we started thinking about how we thought of Desolate, we made points about how we thought of our world as it is now and where we think it's going to be in 10 years, 20 years down the road. One of our biggest notes was that our generation felt like we inherited a broken world. And we didn't break the world, and the generations before us didn't intend to break the world, but somehow we are still tasked to fix it.
We wanted Desolate to be environmentally intriguing. We were hoping to have a very conceptual piece that used a different art style than normal animation. That's how we stumbled onto the paint drop backgrounds. It doesn't look like classic animation with like the clean lines and the clean shapes because we wanted to give it more of a, a unique feel to the animation.
When we started developing the story, we originally had a very angsty, mad at the world approach that we thought wouldn't be the most audience friendly. And so when we developed it further, we decided to go at it from the viewpoint of a child to convey this curiosity of the world while still being fearful and a little trepidatious of this world.
When I was designing characters, my main goal was to set up my team for success. I wanted to make these characters very easy to animate and easy to replicate. I spent a lot of time working with the shape language to make sure it was very simple, clear, concise, easy to turn around, easy to do different poses in. I also had a lot of fun designing the background characters, which, although they didn't get to feature much in the show because we didn't have a lot of time with them, I still wanted to convey the effect of the world on the people in the world. I wanted to make the background characters feel sort of creature-esque, sort of creepy, sort of inhumane, which is why pretty much all the background characters, part of their face is covered up. Either their eyes are covered up, or if their eyes are not covered up, then their mouths are covered up, because they are dehumanized by this world. And then Shiloh, the main character that you're with, you can see their full face, you can see their childlike innocence, because they are the one that is humanized, they are the audience's viewpoint.
As Shiloh, our main character, goes through this landscape, through the world of Desolate, we get to see how colors really affect the locations that they're in. Fishtown's very blue and cool colors, but with an eerie feel of some splashes of unnatural neons that you won't find in the wild. Meanwhile, the nature scenes, as Shiloh's traveling from one town to another, it's very muted. The world is destroyed and polluted, and the darkness of the forest and the greens and the browns and the grays really add to this feeling. Finally, when Shiloh arrives at their destination, it's bright yellows and reds and oranges. At first it feels like a sunset, like maybe this is where they're meant to be, and then it gets darker and redder and more brown as the destruction and the factory takes a hold of Shiloh in this narrative.
We all pitched in on storyboards. I boarded for section 3, which is when Shiloh enters Newopolis. For that scene, the main goal of it was just sort of making the city feel intimidating and feel like it was towering above Shiloh and like they were just this tiny, tiny, insignificant thing in this sea of the same face over and over again. And for the actual factory, the look of it, I was inspired a lot by Metropolis, which is a classic film. I use Metropolis as a reference point because of its themes of sort of industrialization and the effects of that on people, connecting to the larger themes in our work of just the effect of industrialization on the climate, and then sort of how it alters the climate and the people at the same time.
We found a lot of reference for all of our different towns, for Shiloh, for our characters. We really wanted to feel both that that these locations could be possible in the real world, like that this, though it's so painterly and very, very aesthetically chosen, these don't feel like places that are completely fantastical. These feel like they could be a true city, a true location that we just haven't found yet in the real world and looks different compared to reality and the painting style we have. And by doing so, we needed to find a lot of references to be like, is this how bridges work? And what do factories look like?
Our production pipeline was pretty typical of an animated project. We had our roughs, and then we had cleanup, and then we had color, and then we had comping. And each step could be completed by a different person. Sometimes the same person would do cleanup and roughs, but oftentimes it would get passed off at that point. For color, we had 4 lovely color assistants who were so helpful in getting this film completed on time, and they were so great with the consistency of all the characters' colors and getting those files to us when we needed them. They were great to work with.
We used a lot of spreadsheets, which is probably, weirdly enough, one of my favorite things in our list of documents, because we'd be able to check off where we were in the process. So roughs, lines, color, and then comping. We could always just go back to the spreadsheet. Overall, this show was very fun to do. It was fun to try a style that wasn't my own and just integrate it into the animation process. We all grew very attached to our main character, who, while doesn't officially have a name, we always called them Shiloh, and we wanted everyone to be able to see themselves in Shiloh, because Shiloh kind of represents the inner child in us as we're navigating this harsh world that we need to fix, but we don't know how to fix. And so it was just really cool getting to know Shiloh as a character. And the rat, which is named Desi after the show Desolate, seeing those 2 characters interact is kind of our spark of hope throughout the whole show. And it's just really fun to see those characters develop.